VLR.
This program contains scenes of violence and mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Transmission sequence complete. Stand by to receive.
And now, live from Columbus, Ohio, this is Edge of Anarchy, only on Vigilant Liberty Radio.
I'm sure there's going to be more than one unpleasant surprise before we're done.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Edge of Anarchy, coming to you live, not from Columbus, Ohio this week, but from Dallas, Texas. I am your guest host, Taylor Millard, filling in for Amanda as she is headed back from being out of town to Columbus, Ohio. Basically, she is celebrating the fact that the Ohio State Buckeyes won the first college football national championship game last week, and so she decided to go out of town. Actually, no, she decided to go out of town before she decided to, well, before the Buckeyes won, but, you know, I think everybody deserves a road trip from time to time, and hopefully Amanda is having fun, and she will be back next week live and in person here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. But before then, you have to deal with me, as a lot of people have to deal with me sometimes. I'm not sure if people are ready for me to go just to the edge of anarchy, even though anyone who's listened to Saturday Night Cigar Lounge knows that I can come close to that sometimes. A lot of stuff going on today, a lot of discussion regarding the American Sniper movie and how Chris Kyle was portrayed by Bradley Cooper and directed by Clint Eastwood in this film. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't had time to see it yet, which is unfortunate because I really do want to see this film. I think it's going to be a good film, and from what I've heard, it's also a very sad film, just how people reacted to it. I know that a friend of mine said on Facebook that he normally doesn't start crying at the end of films, and he cried at the end of that film. I certainly choked up a little bit during Lone Survivor. I've only seen Lone Survivor once. I own Lone Survivor. I doubt I'm going to see it again, just because stuff like that is really... War films are really emotional for me, especially films like Lone Survivor, films like Saving Private Ryan. It's just the horror of it, and the fact that what those guys were doing, just trying to survive. You know, I wish I could have been into the military. You've heard me say this plenty of times on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge, on Right War, on any of the other VLR shows or FTR shows that I've been on. I wish I could have been in the military. I had the Navy tell me when I was 19, 20 years old that I was not allowed to be in the military because of issues with my back. And I would have loved to have been in the military. I would have loved to have been a police officer. But that didn't happen. But a lot of people seem to be, those on the left seem to be really kind of, oh, we're not sure we like how this film is portraying Americans. We're not sure how this film is portraying war. And it all started over the weekend when Michael Moore, yes, our good friend Michael Moore, good friend. By the way, donate to huggingmore.com. Huggingmore.com. Donate to that. On January 18th, he tweeted, My uncle killed by sniper in WW2. We were taught snipers were cowards. Will shoot you in the back. Snipers aren't heroes, and invaders are worse. But if you're on the roof of your home defending it from invaders who've come 7,000 miles, you are not a sniper. You are brave. You are a neighbor. Now, I do find this interesting that 11 hours ago he then tweeted, I never tweeted one word about American sniper Chris Kyle. I said my uncle killed by sniper in World War II. Only cowards would do that to him, others. So, people want me to tweet something about American Sniper. Great acting, powerful message, sad ending. Oh, and Iraqis are called savages throughout the film. Sorry to have to state the obvious again. Invading a country that hasn't attacked you is illegal and immoral. History will judge us harshly. All right. So, we will actually let's not respond to Michael Moore just yet, because Ed Schultz decided to weigh in today on his show on MSNBC. And he had this to say regarding the film American Sniper.
At face value, American Sniper serves to highlight some of the most disturbing consequences of this war. It humanizes the struggle of soldiers returning from combat with post-traumatic stress disorder. It also serves as a harsh reminder American soldiers were sent to war under false pretense. That's how I took it. This success might suggest Americans are hungry for a hero in the never-ending fight in the Middle East. However, the real Chris Kyle was far more complicated than the hero portrayed in Eastwood's movie. In his autobiography, Kyle described the enemy as savages and despicably evil. Kyle said his only regret is that he didn't kill more. Kyle even described killing as fun and something he loved to do. Simply put, Kyle's version of the Iraq War was black and white. There was no room for humanizing Iraqis when he had his finger on the trigger. To Kyle, if they weren't Americans, they were the enemy.
To Kyle, if they weren't Iraqis, they were the enemy. All right, so I want to read something from Lone Survivor, written by Marcus Luttrell. Let me see where to start. This is on page 39 of the book. I promise you, every insurgent, freedom fighter, and stray gunman in Iraq who we arrested knew the ropes and knew that the way out was to announce he had been tortured by the Americans, ill-treated or prevented from reading the Quran or eating his breakfast or watching the television. They all knew that Al Jazeera, the Arab broadcasters, would pick it up, and it would be a relay to the USA, where the liberal media would joyfully accuse all of us of being murderers or barbarians or something. Those terrorist organizations laugh at the U.S. media, and they know exactly how to use the system against us. I realize I am not being specific, and I have no intention of being so. But these broad brushstrokes are designed to show that the rules of engagement are a clear and present danger, frightening young soldiers who have been placed in harm's way by their government into believing that they may be charged with murder if they defend themselves too vigorously. I am not a political person, and as a Navy SEAL, I am sworn to defend my country and carry out the wishes of my Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, whoever he may be, Republican or Democrat. I am a patriot. I fight for the U.S. of A. for my home state of Texas. I simply do not want to see some of the best young men in the country hesitating to join the elite branches of the U.S. Armed Forces because they were afraid they might be accused of war crimes by their own side just for attacking the enemy. And I know one thing for certain. If I ever rounded a mountainside in Afghanistan and came face-to-face with Osama bin Laden, the man who masterminded the vicious, unprovoked attack on my country, killing 2,752 innocent American civilians in New York on 9/11, I'd shoot him dead in cold blood. At which point, urged on by an outraged American media, the military would probably incarcerate me under the jail, never mind in it. And then I'd be charged with murder. Tell you what, I'd still shoot the son of a bitch. He also pointed out, actually in the very beginning of the book, that he found the terrorist camps in Iraq and that everybody knew what was going on. Everybody knew that basically they were going to shoot to kill. That's what Marcus Luttrell said. Now, I have said when it comes to Iraq and Afghanistan that I had no problem with Afghanistan. I did have a problem with Iraq because I thought the strategy was wrong, and I thought that we went in a little bit too early in Iraq. I thought we went in too early. But I want to read something also by Mark Owen, who was the man who wrote No Easy Day. This is from No Hero, The Evolution of a Navy SEAL. From page 111. We all volunteered to go on the most dangerous missions, where, as Beckwith put it, a medal, a body bag, or both are common. We can all accept low wages, bitter cold, long hours of complete darkness, like Shackleton promised, because we'd all rather die than fail. But most of all, we always put the team over the individual, and never accept anything but the best from everyone. Those words are easy to say and write, but hard to live by. But those are the kinds of men I served with in the special operations community, men who share a common sense of purpose and a near ideological mindset. Also, taking a look at page 259. When they got back to their bedrolls, I could see them grabbing AK-47, RPGs, and even a belt-fed PKM machine gun. Multiple IR lasers popped on and zeroed in on the chest of the fighter as our snipers went to work. Seconds later, 3 of the enemy dropped. The others panicked and started running back towards the village. Suppressed rounds continued to pour in on them. I counted 5 dead fighters. By this point in the war, we were very conscientious of not running to our death, so we paused for a moment. The base of the L stayed in place. We were hoping the enemy hadn't noticed the rest of us off to their right flank. Our position hadn't fired yet in an effort to stay undetected. And from the aforementioned American Sniper by Chris Kyle. From page 298. I never had any doubts about the people I shot. My guys would tease me. Yeah, I know, Chris. He's got a little gun cut on the end of his scope. Everyone he sees is in the ROEs. But the truth was my targets were always obvious, and I, of course, had plenty of witnesses every time I shot. The way things were, you couldn't chance making a mistake. You'd be crucified if you didn't strictly obey the ROEs. Back in Fallujah, there was an incident involving Marines clearing a house. A unit had gone into a house, stepped over some bodies as they moved to clear the rooms. Unfortunately, one of the bastards on the ground wasn't dead. After the Marines were in the house, he rolled over, pulled the pin on a grenade, and exploded, killing or wounding some of the Marines. From then on, the Marines started putting a round into anybody they saw as they entered a house. At some point, a newsman with a camera recorded this. The video went public, and the Marines got in trouble. Charges were either dropped or never actually filed, since the initial investigation explained the circumstances. Still, even the potential for charges was something you were always aware of. I want to read something also how Alvin York characterizes war. Alvin York, by the way, is a hero a war hero, the most decorated American, one of the most decorated American soldiers in